So kind of to segue into that, today I'm kind of going to do a brief version of it. And I'm going to go through a lot of the top quarterbacks and kind of look at what, and especially rookie quarterbacks, and look at what they're good at, what they're bad at, how high I think they can reach, where their ceiling is, where they are right now, where I think they'll end up a season from now. But here I'm just going to be ranking the best quarterbacks in the league, as well as kind of creating my own God quarterback. So I'll start out with that. So in terms of a God quarterback, you kind of have to split it up into categories. You have your intelligence and clutchness. You have your heart. You have your playmaking ability. You have your legs. You have your throwing. You have your toughness. And you have your leadership. So right away, intelligence and clutchness, I had to give it to Brady. There's just so much that goes into that. He's been clutch. In every Super Bowl he's won, he has had to make a fourth quarter drive to take the lead. More often than not, it's been in the final few minutes, if not the final few seconds. I mean, you look towards the 28-3 Super Bowl, you look at the Seahawks Super Bowl, you look at the two where he had to drive the team into field goal range in the last minute, like against the Panthers and against the Rams back in the day. Back in the early 2000s when they went 3 out of 4 years, won the Super Bowl. So the clutchness goes to Brady, but also the intelligence does too. And the reason for that is Brady is arguably the most intelligent quarterback out there, or at least he applies his intelligence. If you watch the Patriots football games, you'll see time and time again Brady making small adjustments out on the field, whether he's telling a receiver, hey, go that way, or he's telling his right guard, hey, there's a blitz coming through this gap, block that. Or he's telling his running back, like, hey, split out wide. That's why you see the Patriots motion so much. Brady calls a lot of audibles. Whenever you hear him say alert, alert, and he taps the sides of his helmet, which he does quite often, that means he is switching to the next play. It's kind of audibling the play. So for Brady, the intelligence is definitely in his hands. He hasn't always been the most skillful quarterback, and that's why I didn't give him the throwing. That's why I didn't give him the legs or the playmaking ability. He does the majority of his magic before the snap. He reads the defense, knows what's going to be open, and looks for it. If it's not open, he throws it in the dirt. And that's what Brady's best at, intelligence and clutchness. And then you move on to heart, and I got to give that one to Aaron Rodgers. My reasoning behind that is that Aaron Rodgers is the type of player that will not give up on a game. Now, I'm not saying Brady would give up on a game, but if based on history, you kind of had to look at, all right, what quarterback even, when they're down a bunch with like 14 seconds left, need to throw a Hail Mary, Rodgers has got to win that. I think he has the best heart out of all the quarterbacks. I think, honestly, you could argue Brady has the best heart. You could argue Breeze has the best heart. But I had to give that one to Rodgers. I didn't want Brady to have half the quarterback. So then you move on to playmaking ability. I had to give that one to Patrick Mahomes. We've seen it these last 2 seasons. When a play looks dead, he will run around, maneuver around people, and then sidearm, no-look pass it to Tyreek Hill across the middle. He will just find a way to turn a play that looks like nothing into something amazing. He does it time and time again, so that's why I had to give playmaking ability to Patrick Mahomes. Then you go to the legs. I think this one's pretty obvious, Lamar Jackson. He's easily got the best elusiveness out of any quarterback. Josh Allen could argue, but I mean, Josh Allen still doesn't come anywhere near Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's got over 2,000 rushing yards in his first 2 NFL seasons. I mean, he is a machine in terms of scrambling and design quarterback runs. In terms of throwing the ball, I had to give it to Drew Brees. I believe Drew Brees is the most accurate quarterback in the league. Now, some Patriots fans might argue, oh, well, Brady's super accurate. He just throws the ball away a lot, and he spikes the ball a lot, and a lot of times his receivers aren't open, or they just drop it. Yes, that's fair, but just based off of the pure, all right, what's his completion percentage? You have to give it to Brees. You really do. And maybe this year when he's on the Buccaneers and he has great receivers, we'll see it turn around and he might have a 70% completion percentage. If that happens, I might give throwing to Brady. But until then, Brees has it right now in terms of today. Toughness, Big Ben. Big Ben, I believe, is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Granted, last year, the one game he played really bad, and then ultimately got injured the next week. But I think Big Ben is a really underrated quarterback. He's really tough. He breaks tackles. That's why they call him Big Ben. He breaks sacks, and he can throw the ball really well. He's an overall pretty good quarterback, but in terms of toughness, Big Ben is definitely the best in the league in toughness. And then finally, we come to leadership. And I think this is something overlooked with a quarterback that arguably is the most underrated quarterback in the league, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a great quarterback. He has great playmaking ability. He has great legs. He has great throwing. He has really good intelligence. I don't think he beats out Mahomes, Jackson, or Brady on those things. But if there's anything Russell Wilson deserves, it's leadership. You see it on the sidelines. You see it in the mic'd up. Wilson always stays calm. He never lets his emotions overtake him. You even saw it in the Super Bowl where he threw the interception. Granted, that wasn't very clutch of him. But even when it happened, you see he could control himself. He didn't fall to his knees and start crying. He kind of walked off the field, clapped his hands, and was like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. But he didn't let his emotions overtake him. And honestly, that and all the mic'd up moments I've watched of Russell Wilson, I've never seen emotion kind of take over the way he talks to his teammates, take over the way he talks to his coaches. He always seems composed. And again, arguably Brady could also have that, but the thing about Brady is I've seen him get very angry at his teammates, and that can both be a leadership quality and a bad part of leadership, just depending on the players that are on your team. So in terms of any player ever, Russell Wilson is definitely the leadership. So here now I'm going to rank the quarterbacks. Those 6 quarterbacks that I used, I'm going to rank them in overall quarterback and overall skill, as well as a third thing that I'll explain later. But first, we're going to look at overall skill. This means athleticism. Number 1 is Lamar Jackson. Easy. He's got the legs, and he's got a pretty good arm. His arm isn't bad, and he just has pure athleticism as a dual-threat quarterback. Second comes Patrick Mahomes. We've seen it. He can scramble. He can pass deep. He can pass short. He can no-look pass it, sidearm, anything you want. He even said he could throw it behind his back. He is the second best quarterback in terms of athleticism. Third comes Aaron Rodgers. Despite his age, he still shows that same athleticism, being able to kind of move around the pocket, really evade defenders, really evade the defense, and throw the defense off in order to make a play happen. Fourth on that list comes Russell Wilson. Again, an overlooked quarterback. He's got the wheels. He's not super fast, but he always finds a way to get away from the pressure and make a nice throw. Fifth comes Brady. My reason for that in terms of athleticism is his throwing accuracy. Whenever he has a receiver open by a little bit, much more often than not, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, he is going to dart that thing in perfect spiral right into the chest. And then last on that list comes Drew Brees. Just because I understand he's got okay legs, he's got okay this, he's got okay that, but the point is he has okay that stuff. And his throwing accuracy is really good. But when I watch him play, I don't think it's quite on the level that Brady is when Brady has open receivers. Now, again, that might seem a little confusing considering I gave Breeze the throwing part of the quarterback, but I had to give Breeze something. And then in terms of overall quarterback, ranking those 6 guys, so in terms of if I was a general manager and I wanted a quarterback that I believe I could build a dynasty with, all these quarterbacks, of course, in their prime, number 1 is Brady. Easy. Brady will do the job. He'll get the job done. If you need a drive here, he'll get the drive done. He'll do what he needs to do, and he has a great work ethic, and he puts on a great role model type example to the rest of the team. So it's a great leader, a great quarterback to have on your team if you're just starting out. Second comes Patrick Mahomes. He's also a really good leader. He has great athleticism, like I said, and he's got great playmaking ability, meaning, especially considering that you're just starting out, if you got some of these young guys that aren't that great, Mahomes can kind of make up for it. Third comes Russell Wilson. Again, overlooked. I think Wilson is better than Breeze overall if you count athleticism, clutchness, intelligence, throwing. heart, leadership, everything. I believe Wilson is above Brees. And then following Wilson, of course, is Drew Brees. And then following Drew Brees comes Aaron Rodgers, who I believe is an amazing quarterback. And in his prime, he was definitely top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now that I would want on my team. And last out of those 6 comes Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is great, but the one thing that kind of caused me to put him down at 6 is the risk factor. He runs it a lot. So first off, your team needs to be a run-first team, which sometimes is kind of hard to achieve because, 1, running backs are asking for a lot of money right now, and 2, you need to have a pretty good offensive line, which is hard to get, and you also run the risk of Lamar Jackson being injured. So there's just the longevity factor that's kind of scary in Lamar Jackson, so that's the only reason I put him down there. So then we move to the rookies, and I'll end the episode off on this. I won't go too far in explaining, so I'm kind of running out of time here. But in terms of overall ceiling, number 1, Joe Burrow, obviously. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes. Number 4, Kyler Murray. Number 5, Josh Allen. And number 6, Daniel Jones. And I believe the 3 worst quarterbacks in the league are Sam Darnold, Phillip Rivers, and Dwayne Haskins. And every quarterback you heard in there will probably my next few episodes are going to be quarterback analysis. Meaning I'll come in here, watch the film, and tell you what I see, tell you what I think about the quarterback. So you'll hear about those 6 quarterbacks and the other rookies I mentioned. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.